Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another Cosmere controversy, but today's topic is going to be Jasnah and Wit and their apparent relationship. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. But make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out the Patreon if you're interested. And as always, let's begin. So, in Rhythm of War, oh, by the way, this video will have like total spoilers for pretty much anything relevant to Wit and Yasna. It may or may not like cross over other stuff, but just to be sure, I'm going to say, spoilers for everything Cosmere. So, in A Rhythm of War, we find out that Wit and Yasna have formed a romantic, for a lack of a better term, relationship. So it is really interesting because I don't like this pairing at all for multiple reasons. And there's a lot of people all over the fandom that don't like this pairing as well. But I've also seen like some interesting, completely different reads on the characters. And, so people, of course, have different opinions because that's how it works. But yeah, I kind of just, want to talk about the issues that I personally have with this pairing and why I don't think the pairing is a good idea and I don't think it serves either character. So let's go ahead and get started. First, let's start with Yasna. So, the first thing about Yasna, I never read her as heterosexual. I assumed she was either ace or lesbian or something. Like, there's a few lines in the books that actually make it almost feel like a complete like confirmation. Like in her prologue and Words of Radiance, the way she describes Liz seems a little bit more like attraction kind of description to me, and like her reaction to the idea of Shallan being betrothed and stuff and like getting married and stuff. She seemed to be very averse to it. And it just kind of seems to be kind of like this air of it because it was like at least a part of the way in which Shallan speculated about her before she knew her. Like it kind of gave off that energy. But to me, that's kind of, neither here nor there whether or not she actually was confirmed to be or was or not or whatever. Like, that's kind of how I read her. Like, I kind of took her to be like, um, she disagreed with Ivory, so I hesitate to describe her in the same way Ivory does. Ivory describes her as being more like a spren than, like a human, like, unlike most people and stuff. And I honestly agree with that, even though she would disagree with that. So I guess it might be, an incorrect read, or is it a common read that most people would have on Yasna, not being inside her head entirely. But it's kind of that thing. I was kind of leaning more towards, I guess more than even lesbian, I was leaning more towards ace. Like, I just kind of didn't see Yasna as any sort of relationship type person, which is kind of one of the reasons I assume she kept turning down Amaram. So I just, I never read anything like that. So it's very jarring to see them like in this situation. And it's also made clear that she is like some form of ace. She doesn't like get the whole physical intimacy part and stuff, but she's very fascinated with Wit as far as his brain and everything goes. So I can kind of understand that connection. That's the type of connection I would expect someone on the scholarly level as Jasna to make. So that part kind of makes a lot of sense. But just in general, as I said, I think Yasna is the type of character that honestly I prefer her basically without a partner, like in any kind of way, because it doesn't seem like she needs one. I don't know. It's weird because it's hard to say like what a character needs and all that kind of stuff. But I just never had that read. I never saw her as a character to ever basically be in a relationship. Like, I imagine it would end up becoming like a thing, now that she's queen and stuff. I assumed it would probably be later on some kind of issue she had to deal with. But like overall, I just kind of never had that read. So her being with Hoyd slash Wit, I mean, I'm going to think of him, I guess, more as Hoyd. Like Wit, I could honestly see if he was just like a sarcastic, regular, like random Alethi that's kind of very smart and like knowledgeable of the past and all this kind of stuff, and just like a regular person. But it's like who Hoyd is kind of why I mostly have like a lot of friction with the idea of this pairing. So yeah, I guess very simply put, my biggest issues as far as Yasna goes is that I didn't read her as heterosexual. I didn't read her as having any interest in any sort of relationship. And yeah, from the Yasna perspective, it's pretty much that. And honestly, in terms of problems, like that's fairly minor. It's just a read kind of thing, a perspective, perception kind of situation, which is whatever. But where my real friction comes in is kind of with Hoyd. So I'm kind of honestly, in terms of Hoyd's character, kind of stuck on this one conversation he had with Dalinar. At least in terms of the way he like deals with mortal characters, you know, people that are nowhere near as long lived as he is or has the experiences he does and stuff. So I'm just basically really stuck on that conversation he had with Dalinar, where he said, "I would gladly watch this world burn and like basically watch all of you die if it meant getting what I wanted." And I don't think anything about that has changed, especially in light of the way in which he has the contract written to deal with odium. It seems like that's first and foremost his priority. And then beyond that, he is always, you know, he has to be where he feels like he needs to be. So at any given time, he can like feel like he needs to be somewhere else and he has to go. So him kind of being flighty in that way, I wouldn't think he would ever put down, you know, a relationship like that. Even though we know he's dated a dragon and stuff, and like he's had relationships and stuff in the past, which makes total sense. But I would think at this point, when he's just kind of like in whatever state he's in right now, like I don't know if it's a result of his dawn shard, like which causes him to, you know, do the hop around thing or whatever. I don't know, but like I wouldn't think he would, you know, have a relationship. And if he does, I would assume that they're very fleeting, very, you know, kind of, you know, just kind of flighty one night stands type situations. I would never think that they would be, you know, high stakes emotion kind of thing. And the way in which the scenes we get with them in Rhythm of War reads is like he is far more emotionally and physically into Jasnah than she is in general. Like she's in it for his brain and stuff like that, and thinks he's a fascinating creature and stuff. And like, but she's not, you know, into him in the traditional, typical kind of way. So it's weird to me that he would be so into her, especially when she basically wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have imagined that this relationship would have been her first thought, you know. I wouldn't have imagined it would have been, you know, something she suggested kind of thing. So I would imagine it would have had to have come from Hoyd, but it feels very out of character for something like that to come from Hoyd, especially in light of the fact that he, I imagine, can't possibly see anybody of a mortal lifespan as anything other than like a child, like because he's thousands upon thousands of years old. So like there's a, you know, it's weird about the age difference or whatever, but I mean long adults whatever like so it's whatever. But just that kind of, and it's just weird to me, somebody that with that level of immortality would date somebody who could honestly be, you know, beheaded. But maybe it's because we don't get pretty much anything in their POVs directly. Like, I mean, we get Yasna's POV, but we don't get like how Hoyd sees the relationship or anything. So maybe he is very much basically in the one night stand mode, realizing they're getting close to winning. He feeling very confident about them getting close to defeating Odium, and whether or not he's like defeated, or if he's just locked in the system. Regardless, Hoyd gets what he wants, so therefore he can basically kind of relax to have fun and stuff. So he is probably indulging in like this idea of this relationship, regardless if it only lasts up until the contest of champions, which is probably more or less what it is, to be honest. Hoyd is very much probably trying to feeling very confident, like we got this contract. There's no way Race can, you know, wiggle his way out of it and blah blah blah. Like that's why he was feeling very confident at the end, and that's also why what Terravodium does is also extra jarring. And Cal just always waits till I'm talking to make a whole bunch of noise. Like you're quiet as a church mouse before, and now you chew loud as I don't know what, whatever. But so it's just, it feels like a very odd pairing to me. But the thing is, I really like them together. Like I really love the idea of Hoyd and Jasnah working together, kind of being partners in crime. Like him teaching her stuff about the Cosmere and like opening up different ideas, and she can, you know, use her great Jasnah brain and kind of suss a whole bunch of other stuff out of it. You know, that kind of stuff. I think she would make a great shard. Well, she would probably make a terrifyingly, potentially like very intimidating shard, but she would probably be a very like efficient shard, you know. So like there is all that kind of stuff. Like I would really, really like them to work together and, you know, combine minds, not so much anything else. But I do kind of feel like it was just written a little weird. Like granted, this is my basically my emotional response to it. but I also feel like it's very much just a response to it having been written weird. But I do feel like the ultimate goal, in a structural standpoint, from the way in which Brandon writes, I think this is just a pairing that is essentially giving us that, meeting of the minds and combining their brains thing. Like, functionally, that's what this is, going to do. And I wonder if Hoyd will even still be on Roshar, like in the back five. Like, will he have jumped off somewhere else? Like, as far as we know, any of like Tress could have taken place in between the front and back five, even though there's a spaceship on that planet. So maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about earlier, because I've been kind of thumbing through the Stormlight, since we're getting Stormlight 5 in December. So I've been kind of doing a half reread, just picking different parts of different books that I like to re-listen to and stuff on the audiobooks. So I've been kind of doing that. So that was very much in my mind. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. How do you all feel about the Jasnah and the Hoyd pairing? Do you think it works? Like, I don't really think it works. I think the idea of, like I said, I think the idea of them, meeting of the minds is a really good idea. But overall, I don't really care for the idea of them being in a romantic relationship. It doesn't really work for me. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Does it work for you? Do you think it works well? Am I not seeing all the great benefits of them being together and stuff? Let me know about all that in the comments down below. So as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out the Patreon if you're interested in extras and whatnot. And as always, I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.